Hi guys, today I wanted to take some time to talk to you about reading and how we can get our kids loving reading. First of all, what I do at my house is I have a special place for all the books and for reading. So you might want to use a teepee or a tent indoors. I just use a corner in the playroom, and we've got all the books here available on display. I like this bookcase here because they can see all the front covers of the books. So we've got that in this special corner, and the special chair. It's a special reading chair. So it's reward based as well. We kind of say, if you eat all your dinner, we can go to the special place and read a book. So that's really important to make them feel like it's a reward for something they've done really good. If you stop crying in the car all the way home, we'll get home quickly and I can read you a book as soon as we get in the front door. So make it something that's like really positive that they can look forward to doing. So also keep it, if you can, more like a routine, like something that you do every day. It might be straight after breakfast or straight after dinner or straight after a bath, so they know it's coming, the reading time, the once a day reading time, and that might be before bed. But whatever works for your routine, so they can just understand that they know that reading is going to come after this activity. The other thing I wanted to say is I personally have been a little bit challenged trying to get my second child into books. My first child just loved them. He would actively go to the bookshelf and take one out and ask me to read him books. So that wasn't too hard. But my second was just constantly distracted. Okay, she just wanted to turn the pages. She didn't want to read. She would throw the books away. She wouldn't sit down for long enough, just real trouble with the concentration span. So what I had to do with her is work a little bit harder and choose books for her that were interactive. So you've got things like the flap books, where, they have to pick up the flap to see the animals and things like that. One that she really loved was the point and noise book. So you've got the animals here and you have to, it's interactive because of the noises. That one goes for a bit longer. We've got these books here with the furry bits on the inside, and like the textured books for little tiny tots who are still not really into the words and stuff yet. What I found really worked with her too was the find, hide and seek books. So they've got to find the objects on the page. Now this really helped with the concentration. So they have to find, 6 of this and 7 of that and 2 of that. And she would actually sit there for quite a long time trying to find the objects. Now that wasn't really, helping the reading side of things, but it does at least help her get more involved in finding books fun. And that was the main aim. This was another good one, the interactive kind of books. So this was actually good with the ABCs, with the objects and sliding everything back and forth on the page. So that's where I had to start. Books which you can do things with. This one's got the clock on it. So as we went through the book, she was just fiddling with the clock and stuff like that. So they're just a few examples, but if you can find books for readers, find books for kids that are not really interested in reading, then you just have to try and find those books that have the interactive pieces in there. So she's much better now at kind of concentrating and getting to the end of a book. I don't let her turn the pages until I say, you can turn the page now. And that helped her kind of stay on one page for longer. Asking things as well really helps, like how many can you see? What color are they? What sound do they make? And things like that. So get them more engaged. It's not just you actively reading to them. You've got to read not to them, you've got to read with them. So another helpful tip as you're kind of going on your reading journey with your kids is to point to all the words. I know it sounds really obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people just kind of read the book to the child, but make a habit of pointing to each word, and then once they once they know the book off by heart, don't finish the end of the sentence. So get to the last word of the sentence and pause. You've got your finger on it, and wait for them to say the word. So if they know the end of the rhyme or the story or the sentence, you get them to say it for you. And then you can progress up to them pointing to all the words as you read it, or they read it to you, or you point to the words and they read it to you. So that really kind of gets them engaged in understanding that it's not just a story to be heard, it's something that they can actively, they can be involved with you. It's a bonding experience, and they understand that the words, turn into the story. The word, you have to read the words to find out what happens in the story. So my next hint for you would be, at the end of a book, test their comprehension skills. Ask them what happened in the story. When you get to the end, say, okay, now let's do a little exercise at the end of the story. Everybody close your eyes. Now, can you think about the forest? Think about the bear. What color was the bear? Where did he go? What did he find? What did he eat? What could he smell? What could he hear? Get them to use their imagination. So actively maybe get them to feel like they were in the story, and ask them, did you hear a bird? Did you hear the water running? Did you hear the river? Did you hear the beach? That sort of stuff. So get them to really engage in using their imagination and their creative thought patterns, and it really helps with comprehension too. So once you get them to pretend that they're in the book and in the experience, you say to them, and what happened next? And what happened next? Get them to try and recount pieces of the story for you, and that will really help with their comprehension skills. The other tip I would give you is don't have all your books out at the same time. So it looks like we've got a lot of books here, but we actually have the same amount of books in storage. And I will swap them all out with each other probably once a month, just to keep them feeling like the books that are here are fresh. Because a lot of the time they get into a book, they read it so many times and then they're not interested in it. But if they don't see it for 6 weeks and all of a sudden it appears again, they're like, oh my God, I love this book, and they'll read it again. So have your bookshelf case on rotation, just to keep things fresh and interesting for them. The other thing you can do is go to the library. I actually only recently discovered the library. It's awesome. First of all, they love going there, staying there for an hour or two. They pick all the books they want. They bring them all home. And you can do that again in 3 weeks or 2 weeks when the books are due back. And that just gets them, again, interested in reading and loving books. And if you can really facilitate them to have a positive experience in relation to books and reading, that's really going to set up such a good platform for them for future learning. If they can learn how to read early, if they're interested in books generally, they're going to be able to help themselves, teach themselves about just about any topic. So you want to really start progressing from the baby books to the 4 and 5-year-old and 6 and 7-year-old books, maybe even earlier than recommended. My little one is 3. He's reading at about 4.5 to 5-year-old age level, but we try and engage him in things that he's really into. So he's really into the superhero Marvel characters at the moment, and we've gone to the library and we've got a whole bunch of books. For example, this one from the library is The Avengers. And this is a really simple one. It says here it's for 5 and 6-year-olds, but there's not a lot of words on every page. The writing is really simple, so I point to the words, he reads them back to me. Once he knows it off by heart, I get him to point to the words and read it back to me. He's progressing really quickly with his reading, but he loves books. Like, as I said before, from the very beginning, he just loved them. But my little girl, She's coming around. She's doing really well. She's come a long way from where we were, throwing books over her shoulder and running away. So, do I have any more tips for you? If you can find maybe an online resource where you can get their pictures and their names printed and published into a story, that would help immensely. You know how they love just anything that has anything to do with themselves. If they see themselves published in a book or their name in a book, they are so much more engaged in that book. And I can give you one example. These guys, they're amazing. They're called lostmy.name. www.lostmy.name. And it's a book about a child who loses their name. And when you go online, you can order it to be personalized. So this one's got my kid's name, Lionel, and every page is a story in the book about how this little boy goes and has to find all the letters of his name to complete his name. So you can have them personalized. You order them directly online, they come to you. He is obsessed with this book because the little boy is called Lionel, which is what his name is. But I'm sure there's also ones that you can buy maybe from different websites where you can send them photos of them and maybe your family members and stuff like that. Maybe you could do like a family tree or a story of all the members of the family and whatever journey they go on with the real, family members' names and stuff like that. Like that, I'm going to look for something like that for this Christmas coming up because they love anything that's about them, right? I've got a book as well that my daughter loves, and at the back of the book there's a mirror, and it talks about whatever the story goes, and then the character is revealed at the end, and it's a mirror, and she looks at herself in the mirror. She freaking loves that book, but she's always kind of like pushing me to get to the end of it so she can see herself. They're all very egotistical, at this age, but something like that would really help them find a love of books, which is where you want to get to. Find a love of books, find a love of reading, make it special, make it a reward. And if I just wanted to recap what I wanted to say is, find a special place, make it interesting, find books they can interact with, try and find a book, maybe get one printed that has themselves in it, and the comprehension too is a big key. So get them to close their eyes at the end, imagine themselves as that character, ask them where they went, ask them what they did, ask them what they found, ask them what they said, ask them about colours, ask them about how many of this and that there were, what sounds did those characters or animals make. That all goes part and parcel towards developing your kids into successful early readers who love reading and will love seeking out new books and new information eventually to help teach themselves things in the future and develop a love of books. So good luck, and let me know how you go. If you do find an online site where I could maybe send in pictures and have a book created about my kids or my family published, then please post it or send it to me, because I'm going to be looking for a resource like that really soon. Good luck, and I'll see you again very soon.